Got it.
Okay, everybody. So thank you for joining us. Today is Wednesday, January 31st at 3 p.m. This is a meeting of the trustees of Special Municipal Benevolent Funds Committee, and I'm just going to read a little preamble here before we get started. This open meeting of the Board of Trustees of Special Benevolent Funds has been conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency and signed into law on July 16th, 2022. All members of the interview committee, all members of the Benevolent Funds Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. Members, when I call your name, if you can please respond in the affirmative, just to make sure that we can hear you. Andrea Leland?
Yes.
Masha Roman?
Yes.
And Courtney Ariel?
Yes.
All right, and I am Diane Wackle.
And Karen, you forgot me.
And Karen, I'm sorry, Karen Skopetsky.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. All right, so I think the first order of business is we have the acceptance of meeting minutes. I don't know if Andrea, you want to take over the meeting from here?
Sure. I know, Karen, that I had sent to you and Marsha and Diane the minutes from the September 28th, 2003 meeting. I don't know if you had a chance to review them, Karen.
Yep,
Okay.
I did.
Okay, do you want to approve those minutes?
Yes, I do. I motion to approve them.
Okay, and I will second those minutes. Then we had the minutes from December 27th, 2003, and forwarded them to the same individuals. And Marcia, you had come back with some comments, and I appreciate those and corrected my errors, as well as Diane. So do we want to approve those minutes?
Yes.
And I will second those minutes. So we are all set with the prior meeting minutes. And now, Courtney, I believe you have a Northborough family that you would like us to consider.
Yes. Hi. So I thank you for having me. I feel very privileged to be here to support one of your residents here in Northborough. I'm not familiar with this process, so I don't know what would be helpful for me. I don't want to just ramble into space. If there are targeted questions, formats that you want me to follow, I'd be happy to do so.
I think that since this is a individual that we had looked at our last meeting, we were looking for more information as to this person's situation. I think the information that we had received left us with more questions than answers that we had.
Sure. So how about I just go through and I say, so this is a family in Northborough. It is primarily a now single mom with children in the home. They have accumulated a 6,000. I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. They've accumulated a national grid bill of $6,300. What some barriers are to finding some other sustainable financial supports has been that as part of the recent separation from the other spouse, this has been an ongoing situation of financial abuse and controlling spousal behaviors. This individual does not have her name on pertinent documents to apply for other state aid, specifically formal fuel assistance, RCAP solution funds, because her name is not on mortgages and other types of, housing statements. those documents make her ineligible to receive any type of funding. Other areas that we have looked into to support is through the free and reduced lunch program to directly work out a payment plan and forgiveness program through National Grid. Again, unfortunately, there are two barriers in this situation right now is that, on the one hand, all of the school have free and, everyone has free lunch right now, which is excellent. But when it comes down to the application process, the way that she went to the school to try and see if there was some documentation that could be received to provide National Grid, because everyone has free lunch, that letter was not worded in a way that would make them eligible. We have also gone through just in general her own personal finances. And while she herself would qualify for just probably reduced lunch due to her income, there is a child in the home that works part-time, and that household income would also be considered and then made them ineligible. So this is a situation of a family who doesn't make enough, but does make enough based on certain qualifications. So what we are currently trying to do, the family does receive Mass Health for insurance. And so for a sustainable kind of moving forward option, we are, based on the Mass Health status, trying to go to National Grid to show a need around a repayment plan. So with that said, this family, this mother in particular, is in no way expecting a full amount of $6,300 to be cleared from her name. She recognizes that is very significant, and I think that our hope today is to try and find any reduction of that bill, with the hopes that when Mass Health status gets pushed along to National Grid, that they will come up with a payment plan that becomes more manageable for her long term. In addition to sustainability with that bill in particular, we are working with Mom on accessing other opportunities in the community to offset other bills. So we have referred her to a place to turn in Natick, Mass, which she attended last Wednesday evening. And then this Thursday, I believe it's this Thursday, that she would be going to the Northborough Food Pantry to also access additional food options. There are also clothing programs through Acton United Way that we have also referred her to. It's an open forum for her to be able to receive some clothing and try and live a little bit, like whatever money she's able to save in those areas, to push that towards additional savings and paying some back debt on this bill in particular. So I think that this mom has been very engaged with us, very willing to hear what other options are, and understands that, the recurrence of this bill she's not looking for it to be completely wiped away, but just really ultimately trying to reduce it as much as possible to really make it sustainable and no longer accruing moving forward. So I don't know if you have any follow-up questions from that.
Is she currently employed?
Yes.
She is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the questions that we had before is we had looked up the address that we had provided, and this person's name was nowhere on that address.
Mm-hmm.
The second, I think we were looking for more information about the marital status. If it's just a separation, then maybe she should move forward with a divorce. We were questioning if the children were his children,
Mm-hmm.
or children from a different relationship. So I think those questions still remain unanswered in my mind. And especially when you had given us information about, there's a controlling situation, financial abuse. If none of the bills are in her name except this electric bill, who's paying the water and or sewer bill if they do have town water and sewer at this property, things of that nature.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I don't think any, in my mind, I don't think any additional information was provided than what we had at the first meeting.
Right, is she
Okay.
paying rent? Is she,
So he's agreed, so my understanding is that he has agreed to continue the mortgage only. Though the children are his children, we are actually working with her. We've connected her to Daybreak, for some domestic violence, survivor services, specifically around more legal aid, in particular to the financial pieces. Her not having documentation of many household, documents and finances is continuously a barrier for her, and unfortunately not uncommon in these situations. And unfortunately, I myself am not an expert with guiding her to what those next steps would look like. So I agree with you, moving forward with divorce proceedings, having something more legitimate to follow, the structure is something that we are continuing to recommend.
yeah, because he'd have to, give support, child support, spousal support, and all that would help her.
Correct. So she did consult an attorney prior to her outreach to the town, and the legal fees were beyond her means. And so we're trying to connect her with specific legal services through the domestic violence agencies, which at times can be like limited to more like victim advocacy at a court for like restraining orders and things like that. And that's not really what we're like in the middle of. So those are still things that we are pursuing with her. So I understand that there's still, unfortunately, like there's a lot of looming pieces. But I think that the biggest part that I continue to, note is that we have, even though there is this larger debt, we do still have some avenues towards sustainability moving forward so that we don't continue down this path. But right now, this bill in particular, is just extremely overwhelming and taxing on her.
It's just very interesting.
I think I'm in the same position I was, when we first reviewed it. There's just too many unknowns for me. There are legal aid services, especially if she cannot afford it. She could go to court herself on days that they have attorneys for the day to help her fill out the paperwork for divorce. I believe, and I will check on this, that you can fill out some type of financial aid type form to present to the court to say that you are indigent and cannot afford an attorney, and especially if this is an abusive situation, she might be able to move forward with that. And I can, my heart is breaking for her, but I think there's too much information that I would need personally to feel comfortable doing anything.
Okay, so specifically in regards to,
she basically needs to do something. I mean, just the separation agreement and letting him control everything. She needs to just go to court and say, I need to talk to a lawyer for the day, or contact Worcester Legal Aid and see if there is someone there that can assist her with this, because if they were married, he has an obligation to her and to the children.
okay. And right, so at this point, I am not aware of any, because I've definitely worked with families that have feared for like more physical safety once going through the legal process. I don't know if there has been any threats to, if you pursue this, then this will happen, those types of pieces, but we can, I definitely hear what you're saying and I can appreciate that. And,
I mean,
continue to advise her.
is there an amount, that she's looking for, like 1,000 or 1,500 to,
I
or
mean,
is that a Band-Aid?
right. I mean, I think that, again, I think she was even like, I think something to kind of offer a little like hope for her is really what she was thinking. Like, I think even just like 250, 500, like, I think that she was really, like any support. This is a woman that I will tell you, like, every time I've spoken with her, within my role, I've worked with a lot of survivors of domestic violence and a lot of families in financial crisis. I feel like she really is, it's hard for her to ask for help. So I think that that's another reason why I felt pretty strongly about the advocacy. I think that she's also been off of the like radar within Northborough. She hasn't accessed the Northborough food pantry in the past, I think largely out of like pride of just like not wanting to go through those steps. And so that's something that we've been actively coaching her around, like, you're not really able to get some of these other services without first taking that leap. And so,
the food pantry's, private. Nobody
right.
knows who's going, and we keep all the records,
Mm-hmm.
private. So she shouldn't have to worry about that.
Right. So that's certainly something that we've coached her on for sure.
I mean, I'd be willing to, offer, like $1,000, but the other two have to agree.
Mhm.
With some hope of giving her a little breathing room and
Yeah.
and some kind of follow-up, is what she's doing to help herself.
Mm-hmm.
Can I beep in here?
Yep.
I was thinking the same thing, Karen, just to offer this woman a little, now this says she was unemployed for 2 years. So this has been going on for quite some time. If she's already been unemployed 2 years and this has impacted the electric bill as well as the other items. The only thing, if we decide to give her 1,000, 1,500, we're a one and done deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
so
only
she
thing
can't come back.
is, if in fact we could help her a little more extensively, do you know what I'm saying? Giving her the 1,500 is like a Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had more details and we could help her a little more, I don't know. We're closing the door if we offer her I was thinking 1,500, 1,000 to 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500 is
Yeah.
I'm fine with.
But
If
I don't
I
want to
lose-
close the
yeah.
door on her asking for help. Do you know what I'm saying? Down the road. If you think that that's going to be sufficient for her, it seems as though she's been through the mill. And I don't know, Andrea, I don't know all the legal ramifications but having dealt with different families in town, to just lend a helping hand, I would be amenable to that. 1,500, I would say 1,500.
Yeah, and I would agree.
But again, she can't come back to us.
I just need to speak up because my phone's going to die. I'm away.
Go ahead.
So do you have my approval for that, just in case I get signed off?
Okay.
Okay,
Andrea, I don't know how you feel about that though, hon.
I'm just looking at it like it's, if she doesn't move forward, and I can appreciate the fear in a situation like this, but if she doesn't move forward, the 1,500 is just going to go to a corporate entity,
Right.
and they're still going to be chasing her for the balance because it's in her name. So she's not going to escape this.
Right.
So the domestic violence agency that we're, coaching her to access also has like financial literacy and empowerment. Like, I think that there's also a huge piece of she hasn't been part of finances, right? So there's also just like gaps in skill. I think that she, again, is very motivated and eager to make that leap into how can she do this for her family. I would very much be, again, I'd look for like $100, right? So like even $1,500 to me sounds unbelievable, like more than I was anticipating as even on the table right now, because I just know for her what she has been like when I've seen that desperation from her and from other families, and just to have some kind of lift can give you that extra motivation and give you that peace of mind of like, okay, like I can take this next step forward, right? Like there are people behind me and I have a community. Because I think that she has felt very shut down from some of, I mean, the fact she went to SMOC, she went to RCAP Solutions, she has actually been going to the go-to places that we would ask a family to try.
How old are her kids?
She has one that is out of high school, and then there's a 17-year-old that's up at Algonquin. And so her daughter that is out of school does work part-time, but when she was saying, and I can't access the income stuff that we had said, it's very minimal. And mom was basically saying like she's also trying to work within her family around how to essentially have her daughter help more, like have some of those finances actually come to the household versus just like sustain the young adult.
But the mom's working full time.
Mom is working full time. And let me see if I can pull this up.
Is National Grid charging her any interest or anything? Or is this just a flat fee that they're?
So I don't have that answer. So I will apologize that the initial, my supervisor, Kenya Franjul, was the one that initially worked with this family. And so I inherited her just a couple weeks ago. So some of that original kind of documentation that we've been trying to get, I think has left with Kenya. So I know that some of that was put into, did you guys get a copy of the bill, like with the original Benevolent?
No.
No, okay.
I was just curious whether this is going to be compounded as well.
I don't believe there's interest.
Okay.
I don't.
Or is there any threat that they're going to turn off the electricity?
They can't. It's against the law in the winter.
Right. So she has.
Right, but in the winter,
like,
but spring is coming, so.
Yeah.
So yes, so that was initially when we did get this information, we kind of had a deadline in our mind around like something has to go towards National Grid because as of March, they will turn it off.
Has she received any letters saying that? Has she received any letters indicating that if she doesn't pay in full or anything, her electricity will should be shut off?
I believe she has. I do not have copies of that, but that's something that I could ask for if that's something that you need.
I just don't want it to be compounded and then we're throwing good money into a bad situation where that's going to offset any extra finances they're going to put upon her. Do you know what I'm trying to?
I agree.
From my experience from other people, I don't think they charge interest. They might charge a late fee, but
Yeah, like my understanding is that if we knock this down for her in some capacity, that gives, it's almost like they act with like a little bit of that good faith.
A good faith effort. Okay.
Yeah.
She seems to be someone who is willing to do whatever she can based on what you're saying to
Yeah,
try to help herself.
I'm
yeah.
surprised the electric bill's not in his name if he owns the home.
So, right. So those are the pieces that I think was part of the discrepancy. Like, I don't know if she knew that it went into her name.
And what about the other bills? Like Andrea said early on, water bill, if they own a home, they're
Mhm.
paying taxes. They have a mortgage. Obviously, he said he'll continue to pay the mortgage, but taxes and water bill and all the other
Right.
finances that go along with it.
For her, what she is reporting to us is that it is just the electrical bill.
So
That,
she's able to take care of the other. Is she paying those bills or is he paying those bills?
And if her name's not on the deed, she can't get electricity without like a lease or something.
she does not have any of that.
So how did her name get on the electrical bill? Because you have to have a social security and
Right.
proof of
And
address.
you know what? This is a great question, and I'm sorry that I do not have, I must
Yeah,
have a copy
I
of
think
it.
I'd like to get those answers
Yep.
before we commit to something.
Okay, let me see if I can actually, could I just,
Do you agree, Andrea and Marcia?
No, I agree, and I don't want to be
I mean,
the,
if it's in his name, I say screw him.
well, right, but I don't think she'd be coming forward, but I would like that. I would like to see a copy of the
Yeah.
bill. I would like to know, were they actually married or were they just living together? I kind of like to know, and I don't want it done in this meeting, but if you could send us a copy of the bill
Right.
and provide the father's name. So that way we can verify that the name on the deed to kind of put these pieces together.
mhm.
And just have her respond quickly, and say we're looking at giving her some money, but we just need a few more answers.
And right, and then we can have another quick meeting
Right.
to decide. For me personally, I feel there's too many unanswered questions.
Right.
I want to help her, but
Mhm.
I feel like I would be doing disservice to the
Right. I feel like,
benevolent funds.
right. I
Yeah.
agree too. I think we need a little bit more information.
So the specific information, we want the actual bill,
Bill.
which again, I can't imagine. I'm certainly not trying to throw anybody else under the bus. I don't know why we don't have a copy of that. So that's something that I'm trying to go back and find. Because that would be silly if I did have it. But I did just ask, I texted the mom to see if she does in fact have a copy of that. And then the other question is that the other household bills, like the property bills, is that you're trying to
How
get
is
more?
how is she maintaining paying for the other bills that she has?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, like the water bill, the
there's
sewer, if she
water
has
and
sewer, taxes,
Well,
taxes.
we're making assumptions that in that side of town,
cable,
they actually have town water and sewer.
internet.
Right, do
If
they?
it's the address we looked up, they do.
Okay,
Okay, so like water.
Sewer, internet. I mean, who's paying all that?
if they have it, right.
Yeah, they might not have that. Okay. Okay. And what was the other like big looming question?
I think the other question that they had mentioned was, if you could provide a copy of something from the electric company saying that we're going to
Like a shut off.
shut off your.
Right, and whose name is it in, and
Mhm.
actual bill. No, so we know they're actually charging her that much.
Right. Yep. That makes total sense. Okay. No, that I completely understand. And feel like that is very fair. Again, and in the meantime, we can continue to pursue all the other pieces that we have been pursuing. So again, I certainly don't want to keep having you guys come together. I appreciate you guys taking this time. So I can really work off of whatever timeline you recommend.
I mean, yeah, I think we're all pretty flexible as long as we have a little bit of notice.
Do you think maybe a week, like 1 week from
Yeah, that'd
today,
be-
same?
yep,
Same
That would be
time?
fine.
Sure.
Hang on.
So it'd be Wednesday, February 7th, 3 p.m. And we'll do it via Zoom again?
Yeah,
That's Wednesday. Yeah, I'm here. I'm in town.
hold
now.
on, let me look, hold on.
Yeah.
7th. Yeah, that should be fine.
And then hopefully again, I might somewhere already here have the actual copy of the bill. And for that, I'm sorry if that.
Yeah, and if you could email that and
Mhm.
then we can go from there.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll go ahead and schedule that meeting, send out the invite to everybody so that that's in place, and I'll post the agenda.
Thank you.
And we'll follow up.
All right.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All righty.
Thank you.
right,
Anything
thanks.
else? My phone's gonna die.
All
Yeah,
right.
no, just
If
gonna
we're all
join-
set, we're gonna have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
I
Okay, I
second
will
it.
second that. All right.
All
Thank
right,
you all so much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Night.
Nice
All right.